And I have a couple of things like this regarding history that I found intriguing, just about the various empires. We can just go ahead and dive into it, man. Hopefully it won't be too long. I'll make it as concise as possible. Somebody can grab that Daniel 7 and 1. We'll go ahead and jump into it.
All right, I got you.
Okay.
All right. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote a dream and told the sum of the matters.
Now, you could tell that Daniel isn't in chronological order, because if you read Daniel the 5th chapter, it goes into Belteshazzar. Belteshazzar was the last emperor of the Babylonian Empire. You know, he was so pompous that he was actually having a feast during the time of the Persians were invading the empire, and was actually taken down. If you actually go to Daniel 5 and start at 29, it'll expound on what I'm saying.
Tekel, mental.
This is Daniel chapter 5, verse 29. It says, Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom.
And why was that? Because Daniel broke down their writing, that the many tekel, what's that? Your farsin, sin, which means basically your days are numbered.
Right.
You know, go ahead, Elder.
All right, verse 30. It says, In that night was Belshazzar the king of the Chaldeans slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
That's right. If you read up in this chapter, at the time, Belteshazzar was having a feast. Belteshazzar reigned 10 years after Nebuchadnezzar.
Right.
You see, Nebuchadnezzar is known as a great emperor, which we'll expound on as we read down. Go ahead. Elder. Back to verse 7.
All right.
Chapter 7.
All right. Verse 3. Daniel chapter 7, verse 3. It says, verse 2. It says, Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea.
You know, it's that four winds are going to those four kingdoms. You see, now to expound on that, go to Zechariah 1 and start at like 18. So those are talking about those four horns, and that great wind, that great sea is the Mediterranean Sea. You see, we'll get Zechariah 1 and 18, and then we'll jump to Numbers, what's that, 34?
I'll stay in Daniel.
I got Zechariah. Go ahead.
Okay. Zechariah chapter 1 verse 18. Then lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, four horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, would be these. And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And Yahweh showed me four carpenters.
That's right. So again, those four horns are those four empires in which we're going to expound on. You see, which is the Media, it's like the Assyrian, Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire. You dig what I'm saying? The Greek Empire and the Roman Empire. All these had their hand in scattering us. You see, that time, now we're living in a time to where that's almost up.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying? But to explain that great sea is what's that, Mediterranean Sea? Let's go to Numbers 34 and start at 1. And I have a map that I want to show you guys just to expound on it. You know what I'm saying?
Numbers 34. You said start at verse 1?
If you can, brother.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Numbers 34 verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land of Canaan.
Now this is the land of Canaan right here. These are two maps. It's gonna show you. This is the land of Canaan right here. Okay?
Yeah,
and this is like a close in of the map. You got that in your.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you can go over here and look at mine. I got it.
Yeah, this is the land of Canaan right here. Go ahead, Elder. Brother.
So you got the land of Canaan right here. You see what I'm saying? All right. So it says, command the children of Israel and say unto them, when ye come into the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall unto you for an inheritance, even the land of Canaan with the coast thereof. Then your south quarter shall be for the wilderness of Zin.
This is the wilderness of Zin right here. That's the wilderness of Zin right here.
Right here. Right there. Right.
Go ahead, brother.
It says, oh shit, my bad. Okay, then it says, then your south quarter shall be for the wilderness of Zin along by the coast of Edom.
Oh, coast of Edom right here. It's gonna be alongside the coast of Edom.
Right here.
Go ahead.
It says, and your south border shall be the outmost coast of the salt sea eastward. All right. And then it says, and your border shall turn from the south to the ascent of Akrabim, and pass on to Zin. And the going forth thereof shall be from the south to Kadesh Barnea.
Kadesh Barnea is right here. This is Kadesh Barnea. So it's talking about this region right here. Go ahead.
And it says, from the south to Kadesh Barnea, and shall go on to Hazar Adar, and pass on to Asman, and the border shall fetch a compass from Asman unto the river of Egypt, which you know the river of Egypt is the Nile.
That's right.
It says, and the goings out of it shall be at the sea. And as for the western border, ye shall even have the great sea for a border.
Where's the western? This is the western border right here,
This is the western border,
which is the Mediterranean Sea. So we know that to be the great sea. Okay.
Canaan right here.
Yeah, it's for edification.
That great sea is the Mediterranean.
Yep. Let's go back to it, my brother.
All right. Back to Daniel. All right. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 3. It says, and 4 great beasts came upon the sea, diverse one from another.
Going into 4 empires.
Verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
That's right. Now that we know that to be the Assyrian slash Babylonian empire. And if you look up the Assyrians, it's actually a term called the Lamasu. If you could, somebody can Google that. It's Lamassu. It's gonna be basically like a griffin.
It says, is
look like an image. Look up at like the image.
on the phone.
Oh yeah, yep.
You see it?
Yeah, big.
Yep.
It's like a goat looking with a man head.
Sometimes it's a man head, which look like Nebuchadnezzar. Sometimes it's a lion.
Right.
You see?
And this is actually when you go in Hollywood, when you go into the gate of Hollywood, they got these same kind of images showing you that this is Babylon the Great.
Man.
Yep.
Because it's good that you say the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, because a lot of people don't know that Nebuchadnezzar the Great, not Nebuchadnezzar, but Nebuchadnezzar as well, but he was really an Assyrian. He wasn't a Cushite. He actually came out of the Assyrian Empire and was ruling as the known Babylonian Empire. So that's good to know too.
Water, brother. Water. Yeah, that's the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, which ruled from 911 to 609 BC. Now the Assyrian Empire was known for its military greatness, and it's considered the first known world empire. And the reason why it was so prominent is because its military technology, in which it used iron, as basically for its weaponry. And with that iron, it was able to destroy many countries, man. You see, they were known for being very fierce,
Right.
which eventually they was taken down by the Babylonians, and the Babylonians reigned from 606 to 536 BC. King, like you said, King, what's that, Nebuchadnezzar?
Yeah, Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar, he became ruler and ruled for 44 years. Then Nebuchadnezzar came, that was his son. He began to rule, and he was able to expand it greatly. Set up different posts, different vassal states and things of that nature. And also, he was known for his, building temples and things of that nature. One temple that comes to mind is the Hanging Garden, which is very beautiful. You guys want to Google that. We don't have to get it, but and also they were known for their literature, the Gilgamesh epic, which had the flood story, the Hammurabi's codified system of law. You see, and then in 586 BC, the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem and led us into captivity.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, question.
Go ahead.
This is just when it says the first was like a lion and had eagle wings thereof, does that link back to Deuteronomy 28 and 49 when it talks about let me just get it real quick.
Get it.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Does that go like towards 70 AD, or would that be like...
really all of the captivity.
Okay.
All of it.
I think Apostle Tahar did a video like a couple years ago, like breaking that down. I just kind of forgot.
Yeah, it can be linked to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also they took off, the Assyrian Empire through their military strength took off. They were bad. The Roman Empire actually stole a lot of their techniques from the Assyrian Empire. That's why Babylon the Great is likened to Assyria too. This is the new modern day Assyria because of that military might. They were fierce, man.
Yeah.
They put hell on Jake, bro.
Yep. They actually, the Assyrians actually brought us into captivity butt naked.
Butt naked, yep.
You see, that's why.
Which is what Isaiah
prophesied butt naked for them 3 years.
That's exactly why Isaiah prophesied that. To let us know we finna go into captivity, butt naked. Yep.
Yeah, so they were known for. I actually watched a documentary about the Assyrians, and they believed that they stopped conquering, the world would stop. That's how
Yep.
into like destroying they were.
Fan down or something.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Yeah.
That's where the 60-second minute was developed in the Assyrian Empire too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
You ready to go back to Daniel?
Con.
All right. This is verse Daniel 7 and 4. It says, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
And that's going into the Babylonian Empire.
Right.
You see, the Assyrians was taken down by the Babylonians, in which they were always had conflict with one another. You see, now the empire that we know, the word that's written about in the scriptures is the Neo-Assyrian, during the time of the Neo-Assyrian empires and Neo-Babylonian empires. They were always established even from the 1300 BC, you see. And so now, they became a world power when they're written of in the scriptures, you see. Which is around the time, as I said earlier, 911 to 609 BC, the Assyrians, and then 606 to 536 BC for the Babylonians. There was always infighting, you see.
Yep.
I was actually reading about that. Like, it's a spirit. Like, I think it was like last week or a week and a half ago. How the Assyrian Empire they had a lot of civil wars like going on within each other. That actually led to, like you said, because they actually took down the Babylonians, and the Babylonians was the only nation that didn't want to pay tribute to them. So they were always fighting back and forth until 629 BC when they fell. So that's the spirit of the mission I was looking at.
And they stood on their feet like a man, and a man's heart. They got proud basically, and through all of that witchcraft, but they were still men, just like Babylon the Great is doing today. When we read down, you're gonna see it says it was this Babylon was given eyes like a man, But they got proud through all of that witchcraft. And what was that? Nebuchadnezzar was humble.
Yeah, never.
Right.
And turned into a beast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Ain't no more.
Verse 5. Daniel chapter 7, verse 5, it says, And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the between the teeth of it. And they said, thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Now this is going to the Medo-Persian Empire, which they reigned from 539 to 331 BC. You see, in which, you know, again, they always had infightings with one another. And those 3 ribs is going to Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. Now if you go to Daniel 8 and 3, it kind of expounds on it. And also Daniel 8, jump to Daniel 8 and 20. It lets you know exactly who it is, who he's talking about.
You want me to read it? Or?
Khan, Bible show.
Daniel 8 and 3. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward.
It's like that last one again is that Persian Empire. You see, that was established by what's my man's name? Cyrus the Great. You see.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. And I saw the ram. And who's the ram?
The ram is the Medo-Persian.
Medo.
I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward. They were conquering.
Yep.
So that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great.
That's right. He did according to his will, and he became great. He's actually prophesied about in Isaiah. What's that? Isaiah 44 and 28. My man, Isaiah 44 and 28. Can you grab that for me, bro?
Yeah, I got you.
This is one heathen that was actually talked about in a good manner in the scriptures. You see, because when the Persians came into power, they actually allowed us to rebuild our temple. You see what I'm saying? And also the Persians were known to be basically give us religious freedom, the vassal states religious freedom. You see, so we were able to basically establish our culture again, which was taken away from us from the Babylonian captivity. Which would jump to 2 Chronicles, it's like 36, verse 22. Go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, which even further proves, man, like how cold Yahweh Shem Shah is, and how the Bible shows its validity with history.
This is
You
true.
know what I'm saying? Because even so, when Isaiah was prophesying, this is before the Assyrian captivity. You see what I'm saying? And Cyrus came through what? 250 years afterwards?
Yep.
And Isaiah prophesied to Cyrus coming to like, hey man, the Lord set up this man that's going to allow us to rebuild our temple again. You know what I'm saying? And Isaiah, his scrolls, when you link it up to the Dead Sea Scrolls, they pretty much fit almost to the pinpoint T.
And line for line, it is to the pinpoint T, 100%.
Which shows you that, bro, this is
This is probably one of the most quoted prophets.
Yeah.
Paul, Yahweh Shai.
This is Isaiah 44 and 28. It says,
No, I had no clue. I didn't know.
Isaiah 44 and 28. It says, verse 28, that saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built into the temple.
Now, why do you consider the Lord shepherd? Because he led the children of Israel back to their land. You know what I'm saying? He allowed us again to rebuild our temple that was destroyed by Babylon.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
He sent all the other nations. He sent all the other nations home.
Yeah.
He let all the other nations go home and build their shit up so they can pay tribute.
Yep.
That's a smart king.
Yeah, he was like, I ain't gonna. He said, what's the use of putting hell on them? What's the use of putting hell on them?
You trying to expand your kingdom?
Yeah, you know what I'm
that's
saying?
business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He was known for giving, again, his vassal states religious freedom. And also he developed roads, cities, the postal system, legal codes.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? He treated subjects with kindly and humanely. And again, he allowed us to build that temple. Cyrus the Great allowed us to build the temple. Now, when Darius came on the scene, you know, he allowed us to finish it because it was discontinued for 16 years.
Set up Zerubbabel,
Yep.
the governor
Yep.
over the province of Judah.
Gone.
Which we'll grab that in Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles, the 36th chapter, started at like verse 22.
Gone. You were mentioning about the roads and everything. That's interesting because I remember researching in the Persian Empire how they started the highways. And you remember that movie 300, the second one? I don't know if y'all seen it, but they had a line of boats on the sea. You know, that's what they used to travel across to go to different lands with the horses. That was the first highway system that was established. They would have those boats set up on the sea so they could actually, trade, travel through and everything. So I found that interesting, that you said that.
God, the water well.
That was in Isaiah 44.
God, does anybody have that in Second Chronicle?
I'll give you.
The water. I mean, I have it right here. I could read it.
I can read it for you. This is Second Chronicles 36
Verse 22.
and 22. It says, now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom and put it also in writing, saying, thus said Cyrus, king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth hath the Lord power of heaven given me, and he hath charged me to build him an house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you of all his people? The Lord his power be with him, and let him go up.
That's right. Now, it was discontinued because the heathens were hating. But under King Darius, we were allowed to finish it. Go to Ezra 6 and 1.
Come.
Ezra 6 and 1. You see, because he found a contract that Cyrus had between himself and us. You see.
I get that too because I'm writing Ezra.
Okay, cool.
And Ezra 1 and 1 also quotes what we just read in Second Chronicles 36.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
So hold on. See. Ezra 6 and 1. It says, then Darius the king made a decree, and search was made in the house of the rolls where the treasures were laid up in Babylon. And there was found at Achmetha in the palace that is in the province of the Medes a roll, and therein was a record thus written. In the first year of Cyrus the king, the same Cyrus the king made a decree concerning the house of the Most High Yahweh at Jerusalem. Let the house be builded, the place where they offer sacrifices, and let the foundations thereof be strongly laid, the height thereof 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 60 cubits. Man, he was like real particular about how,
very particular.
Man. And it says,
That was smart for Cyrus. Goodness gracious, man. If
nah, you got it, brother.
like thinking of it, allowing us to rebuild the temple, can you understand how much confidence that gave us back to the point where he could actually have, like y'all saying, have business with us again?
Yeah.
You know, establishing that temple, the daily sacrifice every day through the Spirit of the Lord, who was made more confident daily and stronger. So he like, boom, they in a stronger state, we can do more business with them.
We'll be a stronger province.
Exactly.
That's why Darius set up Zerubbabel. He made him governor, that empowered him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And basically Zerubbabel like delegated to the building process, man.
Right. Man.
That's pretty much the point right there, just proving that Darius went back and found the record that Cyrus had wrote.
Gone.
Established it. Yep.
That show he was on point too, man, because he went back. That's a smart king too. You go back to the predecessor to see what he established, you know.
Right.
You're not going back just doing your own thing.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah, kind. So we'll go back to that. Go back to Daniel.
All right.
And just for edification, again, those three ribs was Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. Under Cyrus the Great, they were able to conquer Lydia and Babylon. Now, under his son, Ephesus II, that's when Egypt was taken over. Okay, just for edification. But go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Under Cyrus. Then under his son, it's Cambyes.
Oh yeah, campus.
That's the second. That's Egypt was able to was conquered. So those are those three ribs that's spoken about in Daniel.
It'd be kind of confused, and just another side. It'd be kind of confusing sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like when you read in like Ezra, Nehemiah, Daniel, or Zechariah, because a lot of the kings sometimes have the same name. Like Darius, it could be talking about
Darius
the third, Darius Hyspastes, which was underneath Cambyses. You know what I'm saying?
Cyrus too. That's why in Ezra 6 it says that same Cyrus, you know, who Darius, he went to get his decree. It said that same Cyrus, the one who put out that original decree for us to build a temple.
Right.
So that means it was more than one Cyrus.
That's right. Even dealing with Belteshazzar, it says, like when you read in Daniel the 5th chapter, it says his father Nebuchadnezzar, he wasn't relative to Nebuchadnezzar. That was his son-in-law. You know what I'm saying? They weren't of the same lineage. You see?
Right.
And there was a lot of infighting and things of that nature going on. I think Nebuchadnezzar, after Nebuchadnezzar ruled, it was like a couple of other rulers. And then 10 years later, that's when you had Belteshazzar. You see?
We can talk about that, like Jeremiah or something like that.
But yeah, anyway.
Deuteronomy 7:6. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard.
Oh.
Huh?
You said Deuteronomy.
Oh, my bad.
Oh,
God.
Dang.
I was like, bro, what? I need to go back and check this out. Like, I missed out on him.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 6. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it.
That's right. Now that's actually going into the Greek Empire, which we know.
First Maccabees.
Yep, of course. First Maccabees. Yeah, you might as well pull that. The first chapter. That's going to Alexander the Great. You see, and the reason why it's a leopard because he swiftly took over these empires. I think within the 12 years he established the Greek Empire.
It was quick.
Very quick.
Yeah.
You see. And those 4 wings are going to his 4 generals.
That's right.
He only reigned 12 years.
Who are the 4 generals, Mike?
Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus.
Right.
That was quick.
I have a precept.
Go ahead, brother.
This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Who's that notable horn?
Alexander the Great.
Good.
That's right. And the reason why they say he ain't touched the ground, going back to what we were bringing out, how swiftly they took over these empires. If you read up on the Greek Empire, it expanded all the way to the borders of India, from Asia Minor to India, which at the time that was huge. From Macedonia all the way to India, that's huge. It's incredible. In 12 years?
That's way across the Mediterranean Sea.
Bro, that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? He was able to do that within a 12-year span. You see, going into the blessing of Esau, we know it to be that sword, man. You know?
If any brothers got Netflix, there's actually a movie on there now that just recently got on the called Alexander. And it's just a period piece going into Alexander the Great. Brothers, check it out. It says, and he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which had seen standing before the river.
Which you know that ram is to be the Medo-Persian Empire.
It says, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, and he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
Stomped him out, destroyed him, man. You see?
Now I'm gonna jump over to verse 20, just to quick it up real quick.
Go to 21.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So like verse 21, it says, "In the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king."
That's right.
That's beautiful, man.
First king is again Alexander the Great. Did anybody hear that in First Maccabees?
I got it.
Thank you, brother.
But you can also look up the Battle of Gaugamela, and that goes into this actual history that the Bible's talking about.
That's right.
It's very specific, man.
Yeah.
You know, this is, and that's why they want to take this out the Bible too. This is our First Maccabees 1:1, and it says, and it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian.
Now, prior to Philip the Macedonia, Greek was actually a whole bunch of small city-states, and there was a lot of infighting, so they were relatively weak. Actually, they had a dark age during that time of Greek, which no literature and things of that nature was coming out, you see. But under Philip the Macedonian, you know, he conquered the southern peninsula of Macedonia, and that's when they started becoming a great empire, man. In particular, when his son came into power. Go ahead, my brother.
It says, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim. And it says, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians, and needs those horns.
Shittim, that's Spain, correct?
It's Italy.
It's
Italy.
Yeah, that's what I was
Italy.
I was gonna ask him that.
Okay.
That's why I stopped.
Because they conquered those Japhites.
Yep.
And really, they took over their military tactics. You do research on
They
that.
sure did. They sure did. When you look at that region, Italy, you know, where those Etruscans dwell, when it really came to iron, like when we go into the fourth beast, how they really used iron as their tool, the iron teeth. That was really those Japhites, those Etruscans that utilized iron to make statues, to make shields, to make all those things. They just weren't warmongers like the Edomites were. So when those Romans actually came over there and used that stuff like the brother went into, that's where they really strengthened their military force off of, was that iron.
That's right.
You know.
If you do research on those Japhites, like in the guys and things of that nature, they was into like debauchery, having orgies, and sex and things
Absolutely.
of that nature.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily like, you know, military might, like the brother said.
Yeah, and then like the Romans even took like their formations, like how the soldiers would line up and stuff in war.
Yep.
They took that from the Etruscans. Really, the Etruscans or the Kataim, them would be the first so-called Romans, really. The original
Absolutely.
Romans.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They were known for their navy. You see, and that same navy was used. Well, navy Texas was used by Rome to conquer these lands, man.
Right.
It's even too, like even with Alexander the Great, you know, when you read in prophecies in like Ezekiel 27 and 28, when it talks about the king of Tyrus going down, the king of Tyrus going down, when you go into the history, Alexander actually came, overthrew, and took out Tyre. You know, then that little island, the little coastline of Cyprus, if you go there today, if you look, there's like a little, between the coastline and then that island, there's like not necessarily like a bridge, but throughout time, you know, throughout time, the rubble kind of stuck together. But pretty much Alexander on the coastline, he had took the ruins of the city and pretty much made a bridge over to the landmass, or where Tyre, that island where Tyre was, and that's how he came over there to conquer it. You know what I'm saying? And he pretty much told the people, like, y'all gonna give me this land. And they was like, Tyre was pretty much like, nah, bro, because they was in some festival to honor their god. It was like they can't have no heathen up in there, and Alexander was like, all right, bet. So he literally went over there and bought a rubble of the land and made his own bridge, which you can go there today and see it. To go over there and take the land, you know. Xander was on it, bro.
I'm gonna keep going on here back in here. This is back in First Maccabees, the first chapter. It says, has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
Boom.
And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him.
He had total dominance over the known world at that time, man. Again, his empire was from Macedonia to the borders of India, which was incredible. If you're looking at the time in which he did it, man. That's why these scriptures prescribe him as a leopard. See, also he used to actually wear a leopard. If you look at some of his coins, he would actually wear like a leopard head. You know, which you know that's going to the Greeks.
Because that's where all the traffic at that time was going on in that region, from the Mediterranean eastward, you know, into India at that time.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna just read until it talk about he died in 4 Kings, and then we could jump back to Daniel. This is back in First Maccabees 1 and 3. It says, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die.
Now, we do research on Alexander. He had a passion to spreading out the Greek culture. What's intriguing about the Greeks is I was doing research on them. The biggest thing that stood out is how they really spread Hellenism on the earth, so much to where that became like the known language of the land, kind of like what these Edomites do now. But as far as like building cities and things of that nature, what I've read, it wasn't much.
There wasn't much going on.
It wasn't much going on. They were just conquering people and just imposing their culture on others, man. The same thing what the Edomites do now. You see?
That's right. And it says, verse 6, wherefore he called his servants such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, just like the brother was saying. Over that 12-year period, it was a great expansion. And his servants bare rule every one in his place, and after his death they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them. Many years and evils were multiplied in the earth.
That's right. Yeah, the two prominent empires was the Ptolemaic Empire and the Seleucid Empire, which there was always infighting going on.
Right.
The Seleucid Empire was ruling in Syria, and you had the Ptolemaic Empire ruling in Egypt. You see, people like to get upset about how they want to say that Cleopatra was so-called white. Well, there was many Cleopatras. Now, the most infamous one, the one that we know that be Mark Antony, she was a Edomite. She was white. You see?
They were calling themselves pharaohs and everything.
Yeah. Well, that's when Sirach the Scriptos came out. What's it? Ptolemy Soter. You see? Set himself up as a god.
Yeah. Ptolemy and Cleopatra was brother and sister. There's brother and sister. But again, that was, there's different ones. But, and we're not talking about Mark Antony and Julius Caesar. That Cleopatra, you had the Pharaoh over Egypt around the time was Ptolemy. Cleopatra and Ptolemy were actually battling one against another for the land of Egypt. And Cleopatra actually made league with Julius Caesar, and they married together so they could have dominion over all those lands. And Ptolemy ended up being taken out later on. So she actually did that as a business move on some, I'm finna have power type stuff. But they used that marriage to get together so they could rule Rome and Egypt, those two predominant lands.
Another thing is it called Alexander the Macedonian, and then you got the additions to Esther 16 and 10.
Yeah.
For Ammon, a Macedonian, son of a Matata being indeed a stranger from Persian blood, because they took over the Persians, and far distant from our goodness. So Ammon, which was Haman, was a Macedonian. That links
He's from that line.
Edomites, because it starts with, it calls it a leopard in Daniel the 2nd chapter. Get that again? Read that.
This is Daniel chapter, so I can. This is Daniel chapter 7, and I'm gonna go back to verse. Where we leave off at?
6.
Daniel 7 and 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of his 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it.
Right, so leopard. Now when you get Revelation 13, that's how you know Revelation 13 is speaking of the beginning of the Edomite rulership, their rise to fame, you know,
Right.
of course their fall and all of that. When you get Revelation 13, it starts in verse 2, it says, and the beast I saw was like unto a leopard. See that?
Right.
So that's when you read Revelation 11, really that's the history of Esau, just from his start, really him coming into power as the Greeks. All right, and the end of him, of course, is going to be, you know, Russia shooting missiles, but it goes all the way even unto the chip coming through this system, you know, which is going to all come through that little horn that we're going to go into. The brother's going to break down. But yeah, that's
important, man.
Yeah.
Like, when you teach that, that's important.
Right.
That's where, like, when John was writing that, he was letting you know, like, through these
yeah,
nationality people here is where
Right.
this is gonna happen,
Right.
And this is who the end is gonna go through,
Right.
Linking it up with 2nd Ezra 6 and
Right.
7.
That's what I was just thinking about. Second.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's man. Bro.
second edge is what?
6 and 7.
Esau's the end of the world, and
Six
Jacob
and,
the
oh,
beginning of
yep,
their father.
yep. Esau, that's it.
Shit, you might report that thing.
Man,
We can
This
get
is
it.
going hard, man.
It's like a spiritual puzzle from what I've been figuring out. The scriptures is like
All together.
The thing about the scriptures is this, that it's not in chronological order.
it's all
So that's why
spiritual.
the scriptures say here a little and there a little, line upon line, precept upon precept. Because if you read it, you know, if you read it from top to bottom, you know, you're not gonna really get that edification. You know, one, you know, what the elders like to push, the apostles like to push is, you have to know history, man, which is very important. You have to know history in order to put the pieces together, man.
Yep.
Right. Case in point, the first book that was written in the New Testament, you know, if you do research, really was James. You see,
I did not know that.
it's in your commentary. Like
When you read the introduction?
when you ever get time, go to your commentary, and it tell you that was one of the first books. And what does it say? To 12 tribes scattered abroad. That let you know that the New Testament, which is synonymous with covenant, okay, is only for Israelites.
That's it.
Man's the brother of the Lord.
I said then, I want to say Esau had to go back into the history. That's why he covered. That's why he covered the Alexandria Museum and all those different artifacts and all those different things. That's why I would say he covered that history so he could distort it. I would say would it have been a Renaissance period if they didn't go back to whitewash everything? You see? So yeah, man, I would say you got to know history, whether you're telling the truth or lying.
Right.
Apostle Gabar said on his latest video that stuck with me. He's like, you got to understand history. You got to know history to understand the mystery.
Right. Right.
To understand the mystery, you got to know history.
I got that in second Esdras if you want.
The water.
All right, this is second Esdras 6 and 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth."
That's right. Because if you read, like we're going to read in Daniel, you know, it's talk about that fourth beast, which is the Roman Empire, and the continuation of that little horn is America, man. With America being destroyed, that's when the kingdom of heaven is going to be ushered in by Yahweh, by Yeshua Yahweh Shai. You see? So understanding the history and how this man got into power is important for prophecy. Because you know the spirit of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, man. Right? You see? Well, let's, we go back to Daniel 7. Daniel 7.
All right, this is Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. And this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with its feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
Now we know that to be the Roman Empire, which was established from 331 BC to 146 BC. Now I got my notes here. Salakia. Those 10 horns is going into
I got it.
battle.
With the 7 heads. And the
Common
10
markets.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to
Common
Revelation
markets,
13.
vassal states. The 10 horns are the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, the Alemanni, the Franks, all right, the Visigoths, the Burgundians, Lombards, the Anglo-Saxons, the Suevi, and the Hurili. So basically, these were vassal states. They were subordinate to Rome, but they had power. And just like America has vassal states, Rome had vassal states, and these were the vassal states.
Also showing you that at that time it was a melting pot just like it is now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And these nations always dealt amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? Always dealt amongst each other. Whether they was trading, who's allies, it's the same thing, man. Same exact thing.
Today they would be the Belgium, France, the Netherlands, Italy, Germany, Luxembourg, Denmark, Ireland, Greece, Spanish, and Portugal, which is now expanded.
Yeah, it
EU
started off at 10, but
Yep.
now it's like 29. Yeah, and what's intriguing about that is that's the EU. No, that's NATO, correct?
That's the EU.
That's the EU, Slovakia, which was established by the Treaty of Rome.
Yeah, yep.
Treaty of Rome,
Back in the 40s.
Established by the Treaty of Rome.
That
It was
is.
around like the
Right.
40s, like 1951.
Right.
Yep.
Mind if I bring this precept out? This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 11, verse 38. Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art not thou in the remainest of the 4 beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them?
Where's you at?
2nd Ezra 11 and 39.
Right.
Verse 40. And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness.
That's right. It's going into Rome.
And-
You know, Rome was known for conquering
Right.
many states.
Right.
You know, the thing about Julius Caesar, he would go and conquer the people of that land, and he would make the man actually a part of his kingdom.
Yeah, it's the military.
But then what was going on with Rome is there was so much infighting that eventually it crumbled. That along with its incompetence economically, he used a fiat currency,
Right.
like America is using now. You see, so eventually it was ran over by these barbaric tribes that came in and took it over.
The denarius, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the denarius. They started mixing it, and it became less and less of value.
Yeah, I would say I was mixing it with clay.
They had lead in their water, just
Exactly.
like America has lead in the water.
The second chapter.
It
Absolutely.
became decadent.
And Daniel.
Yep.
There was a
Feet.
question of a higher power.
Yep.
Women's rights.
That's right.
At the end of the Roman Empire, women's rights. There was a slut. I forget, one of the emperor's daughters started portraying slut-like ways, and it started to spread.
just
Bread
like
and
here.
circuses.
They had that that's where you get the gladiatorial events, because all that infighting and war
Right.
that they had going on, but they had that to distract
Right,
people.
and the destruction of the middle class, just like it's happening here. That happened in Rome.
This is it. It's reincarnation straight up.
Yeah,
Verse 40. And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth was with much wicked oppression.
That's right. Wicked oppression. And the elder brought that out beautifully, man. It was just, when you read up on Rome, it was just a lot of debauchery, man. Just lewdness.
Right.
You know, that was a part of that culture. You see, what you see now here in America, man. You see, that's how we know that this place is it's a continuation of the Roman Empire.
Absolutely.
That little horn you're gonna get, that goes into America.
I
God.
would say they got a series on Netflix called Rome. I haven't watched it, so I don't know exactly what they going into.
It goes pretty hard.
Yeah. I was saying because I remember when it first came out. When it first came out on HBO back in the day. Yeah, but they got all kind of different period pieces on there. Like especially when you can catch them on HBO, like Spartacus, on Stars, and all that type of stuff. Man, I'm talking about they go in heavy, man. And what you do when you looking at it, you ain't looking at the main characters. Look in the crowd, like the Elder Malcolm was saying. You know what I'm saying? When you watch those period pieces and all that, look in the crowd. The crowd is going to tell you that it was a melting pot.
Right.
This nation and that nation, this person dark, that person dark. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the crowd, you're like, okay, well, shit, everybody could have been white.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
And if you read up on the Romans, like for the most part, they allowed us to, practice, our beliefs. But then you had in the time of Paul, which you had Nero. That's when that persecution started. Of course, we know about 7 AD and what's that, Masada. You see, but even after that, that's when that heavy persecution happened. Where like 500,000 of us were killed or displaced.
Right.
You see, so it was a time period in which we were dispersed.
Right. Judea was a province of Rome. But they called themselves the king of the Jews. Herod, the Herodian dynasty, started with Antipater. So.
Yep. He started persecuting us to what the so-called Christians who appease the so-called Jews. Well, not the so-called the Jews. You see, where at the time, Christianity was seen as, a stem from, I don't want to use Judaism, but, for lack of a better term. It wasn't no separation like you see those gutter rats over there doing. That's how you know those aren't the people over there.
Right. Con. It's a little more on this one. And over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression, and so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit.
The earth was given to the hand of the wicked.
Exactly. Beautiful. Exactly.
And there's no flat earth.
I know, right? The compass of the earth.
Right. God.
The scriptures address everything, man.
God.
That was it right there.
That was it. Oh yeah, that's right.
I had a precept too. Okay, this is Revelation chapter 17,
Beautiful.
verse 8. It says, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. 7 heads are the Greeks, the Spanish, the Romans, the French, the Germans, the Russians, and the Britons.
Yeah, the 7 heads. Yeah, Germany major, Romans, the French, Spain, Germany minor, the British, and the Greeks.
Yeah, Russia not a part of that.
Yeah, Russia ain't part of that. Yeah. So again, that's Germany major, the Romans.
Okay, that's what I messed up.
The French, Spain, that's the Spanish, Germany minor, the British, and the Greeks.
Okay, yeah.
Greek, Rome, Spain, French, Germanian major, Germanian minor. The British, and out of the British came Babylon the Great, which is America.
And that's that perdition that you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. That was.
Right.
Says it was and is not and yet is.
That's the one that's going to perdition. This place. Yeah. This place is going to be utterly destroyed.
Right. Because NATO was created to counteract Russia, the USSR. So Russia wasn't a part of the beast system.
I don't know why I got that. I got the right one down there.
Nah, that was an old breakdown.
Yeah,
that was an old breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's why I say this. I was like, this is my GMS homework. My GMS homework from back in the day, and I got that part wrong.
Because of his ass, we broke it down. We had it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but this
it was on the sign too.
Yeah. It was.
Yep.
The whole damn time we had it on that sign. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and finish up real fast. It says, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th,
Now, the fire that fell with the Greeks, Espanola, Germany Major, Germany Minor, and French.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The sixth that really is Rome. When it says that is seven, is that continuation Rome, which is America.
Cause they fell, and then they came back to America.
Through the
British.
British.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Jeremiah 15:12.
Yep.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the thing.
That's right, brother.
Which is going to keep going into that, the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
That little horn. Because read that last part again. That one, of the eighth, did you go into that one?
Okay,
The
yeah.
eighth is of the seven?
Here it is, right here.
Right.
Revelation 17 and 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth,
Mm-hmm.
and is of the seven.
Of the seven. You see what I'm saying?
The eighth is of the seven.
The eighth is of the seven, which is basically Babylon and Great America that comes out of the British.
Yeah.
And that's gonna get into that in just a minute in Daniel. You know. Go ahead.
Want me to continue with Daniel? Hold off from here, then jump back after we
Yeah,
read
we can
Daniel?
go in Daniel.
Okay. I guess y'all hold this still.
This-
we get back to it.
This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up amongst them another little horn.
Right, he's looking at the Roman Empire as the fourth. All right, so now he's looking, and then another. You got it, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No.
I'm looking at my notes anyway.
Before,
Real quick, I just want to make a point too, because even when you read in verse 8 in Daniel 7, you have a lot of these, Bible commentators and so-called Christians that would call that little horn Antiochus Epiphanes. They'll link that little horn up with Antiochus Epiphanes and Maccabees, but the way that you know that it's not talking about Antiochus Epiphanes is when verse 9 talks about the kingdoms being cast down.
Right.
and
You
that
see
would
what I'm
discredit
saying?
the whole 9th chapter.
Right.
Exactly.
Read 7 again, and then go to 8.
God. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake it in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it,
Right.
and it was diverse from all the beasts that
And what
were
made it
before
diverse from all of the other beasts? What made the Roman Empire diverse?
Was it military?
Yeah,
The
the
military,
iron
but
teeth.
their Senate. their
Yeah.
Senate,
Oh, that's right.
They didn't
That's
have
right.
kings.
They didn't have a king.
They didn't have kings.
They had
Yeah.
Caesars.
Yeah,
Caesar.
triumvirate.
Right.
Right.
Talk about that in Second Ezra, I think 11
Right.
or 12.
Okay.
Right.
They had like that's where you get like the first like 3-head rulership. It was called a triumvirate. It was like Pompey, Crassus, and Julius Caesar.
Right. Because usually the king would pass down his throne to the heir. I mean his son.
Second Ezra.
You know, but they had a whole different thing going on. That's in Maccabees somewhere, I believe.
Yeah, I got it.
At Maccabees, the 8th chapter.
Yeah.
Want me to get it?
That's where the Senate and all of that comes from.
Okay, let's see, verse. Yeah, here it goes. This is First Maccabees chapter 8, verse. I'm gonna start at verse. 12. But with their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept amity, and that they had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, and so much as all that heard their name was afraid of them. This is going into the Romans, I believe. It says also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, in whom again they displace. Finally, that they were greatly exalted, yet for all this none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby.
Right.
Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat and counseled daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered.
Same thing that's going on here.
Man,
See? So that's what made them diverse. Now let's go back to Daniel 7.
God. This is Daniel chapter 7.
What was that?
that was First Maccabees chapter 8, verse
12.
yeah, starting at verse 12 and reading down to like verse 15.
Daniel 7, the end of verse 7. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Verse 8. I considered the horns.
And the horns are, of course, the vassal states that were subordinate to the Roman Empire.
God.
Just like America has the vassal states and the beast, and they're hating the horn right now. Go ahead.
Verse 8. I considered the horns, And behold, there came up amongst them another little horn.
Look, this is keep on reading.
God.
Keep reading.
Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up
Yeah,
by
those
the
three-
roots.
I'm sorry, brother. Those 3 horns is Spain, French, and the British. You see.
Spain, French, and the British.
Revolutionary Wars.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
That's really- Yep. In which you know America was able to eventually take over this place.
So those Spain, who in the British?
It's
French.
France, Spain, and Britain. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to think, he's still looking at the 4th beast.
Mm-hmm.
So this is still a Roman Empire.
Right.
But he's looking like, damn, another little horn came up.
Mm-hmm.
But before this horn came, there was 3 that ruled that had to be plucked up. The French, the Spanish, and then we had a British,
Right.
which when you go to Revelation, the 17th chapter, the 8th was of the 7th. Same thing.
And that happened during
Right.
the colonization era.
Right.
When they was coming over, they was
13
taking over
colonies.
these different,
Right.
these different regions.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Revolution.
saying?
Yeah.
Independence Day, in the 1776.
Declaration.
All that, yeah, that's where all that came from.
Yep.
So you had the French and Indian War and the Spanish American War.
Yep.
I remember.
That's what I'm saying, man. You got to. That's what I said. You talk about that much. You talk about that much history and that much time go by, but then that nigga will call you a false prophet.
Bro. Man.
Oh, nigga, you a false prophet, nigga. This is talking about hundreds of years in the future.
Right.
You know what I'm
In
saying?
the way that we know that this is not the Vatican is because the end is going to come through this little horn.
That's right.
So you can't, if you're saying that the Vatican is Babylon, you're saying this little horn is the Vatican. Nah, this little horn is Babylon the Great.
Right.
British and Spanish.
All right,
So those 3 wars, I'm just making sure. So those 3 wars, you had the French and Indian War, the Spanish American War, and the American Revolution.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, there was different little
It
wars.
was different. Those are the main. Those are the
fighting
main.
over
When it was
slaves.
taken down, you got. That's why I said this. This is during the colonization era because you got to think, French, the British, you know what I'm saying, and Spain, they were colonizing these areas.
Right.
I'm saying like case point Hispaniola. You see, that was coming over and colonizing that area in South America, Central America. You see, but America was able to take over these regions. You see what I'm saying? Through different purchases, like the purchase of
Louisiana
the
Purchase.
Louisiana Purchase.
Damn, okay, everything's starting to
You see
click.
what I'm
French right
saying?
here. Right?
That was the French.
French had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the French had Louisiana.
They purchased that because during the time Napoleon needed that. He needed that money for the wars that was going on. You
That
see
was during the 1600. I'm
It's
sorry.
like the
I'm sorry.
1800s.
18. Okay.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then it's the Spanish American wars. You see, then finally the revolution, the American Revolution. America was able to become that power.
Right.
You see,
That's why it says,
I'm about to go.
and I considered the horns, all right, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and that's where Babylon the Great comes. Okay, and let's go prove itself. I'll keep reading. It says, and behold, in the horn were eyes like the eyes of a man. Same thing that it said about the Babylonian Empire. Because they got proud. They still men, but they got proud above the Most High. Speaking great things. Witchcraft, gay marriage, all of that comes out of this horn, man.
that's right. And if you look, this commentary Bible, it says that word "great things" means pompous words,
Man.
and that's
There is
what
no God.
it's right.
If it is a God, it's me.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful, yo. And that's what you see going on now. You see, and he did that with his pseudoscience, like we always going to, pushing himself up as if he God by evolution.
Man.
You see what I'm saying? Rationalizing, destroying people with eugenics, which is what ironic about eugenics. That was established by Charles Darwin, Darwin's cousin, Francis Darwin.
Right.
You know, social Darwin was created by Herbert Spencer, which was another cousin of a Charles Darwin.
Right.
Who
The
was?
whole family out there, man.
They're just witches. They're just witches.
Yeah.
Who was the cousin of Charles Darwin? You said.
Herbert Spencer.
Really?
Spencer. Yeah.
Just ultimate
I got
white
a precept.
supremacist.
Con.
Revelation 13 and 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them, and power was given unto him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations.
That's right. We were put into a great captivity over here. The northern and the southern tribe.
Right.
You know, you had our Gadite brothers fulfilling prophecy. They were overcome by troops. 98% of them were decimated.
Right.
I want to say in that when you keep reading that prophecy, it say, but he gonna overcome in the end. That haven't happened yet.
Right.
So that's a prophecy in Genesis that haven't happened yet.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that happened during the Roman Empire. They did that too, but it was fulfilled through Babylon the Great. They got that full power through this little horn that we're reading about in Daniel the 7th chapter.
See that word kindreds.
I got a precept.
But really, they overcame all nations. You know? Go ahead.
Right.
Daniel chapter 8 verse 25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
That's right. By globalization, America is able to really control the world, but now you see other nations rising up against them. And now you're starting to see people that are prescribed as the 10 horns buck up, because in the 90s America was on, man. Everybody was using the petrodollar. Not the 80s, the 90s. You see the buy and trade of oil, which made America ridiculously rich.
Hella rich, yeah.
To the point to where they were able to outsource a lot of these jobs over there and get the labor for cheap. You see, in which America didn't have to. These American corporations, they didn't have to produce anything over here. Now you see Trump; he's trying to make it to where these companies, these American companies, had to do business over here, but it's too late.
They shot them and they shot themselves in the foot, making deals like NAFTA and all of that.
They sent all the jobs overseas.
Yep.
Somebody in a sweatshop making Nikes and shit for $16 an hour.
People like
16 cents an hour.
God, people like to point out, oh, Chicago, look how bad it is. Once y'all get it together, Chicago used to be a suburb.
Great migration. Yep.
My man, when the Great Migration happened, you had Jake from the South going up to the Midwest for jobs.
Absolutely.
You had suburbs there.
Detroit,
that was suburbs. Jake wasn't doing bad. Wasn't no way.
Gary,
hood
Indiana.
and ghettos, man.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But this dude policy,
Fucked it all up.
he's able to put himself on top. China's a sweatshop of the world. You see, but again, they shot themselves in the foot. It's too late now. People are starting to hate the horde. Now you see Trump putting all these sanctions and things of that nature on these various countries. And what's eventually going to happen? They're going to turn on the horde.
right?
You see?
Let's get back to Daniel.
This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
Now, what does this prove, Maya?
That the Lord has a body. That the Lord, the Most High, has a physical body. I heard that before.
No. Well, what is this prove? What's happening here? What did we just read in the eighth verse? We read about the little horn, right?
Huh.
What is that little horn?
Alexander the Great.
No.
Nope.
Are you listening?
So like,
You didn't start talking about him.
come.
What is the little horn in verse 8?
Oh, it's a miracle.
Right. Babylon the Great, right?
Come.
So what's happening in verse 9?
So like basically like America has fallen at this disappointed.
It's about to be destroyed,
Right.
proving Esau is the end of the world.
Exactly.
This is the end of all heathen rule. The last heathen rulership will be through this little horn.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's proven. That's what's happening here.
That's right.
All right,
Gone.
keep going.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hairs of his head was like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels is burning fire.
Hey, can somebody get Revelations, the 11th chapter?
I'll get it.
I got it. I'm there.
Revelations 5 and 11. So like,
Revelation chapter 5 and 11 says, "And I beheld, and I heard a voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beasts and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying,"
it's explaining the same.
Same thing.
It's showing the same setting. You dig what I'm saying?
"No, the Lord is about to send his judgment on the earth.
Yep.
He's getting his army ready."
That's right.
When we keep reading.
Come.
Saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessings."
That's right. Now we know that to be Yahweh Shai. You see, so most Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai about to send his son
Right.
back to reign on the earth
That's right.
with a everlasting kingdom, which is going to say in Daniel the 7th chapter.
Yep.
You dig?
Yep.
I have a quick precept.
Come.
Revelation chapter 8, verse 20. "Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai hath avenged you on her, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone."
That's 18.
Yeah.
You said 8.
Oh, Salaki, my bad. Revelation 18 and 21, my bad. Salaki. "And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all."
Right. So if you're saying that the Vatican is Babylon, you're saying that little horn we just read about is Babylon. It's not true.
Yeah, that's good. Another bad.
That's incorrect. Let's go back to Daniel.
Come.
This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 9.
And I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and his hairs in his head were like the pure wool. His
Just to
throne.
clarify, the Ancient of Days, that's going into Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Yahweh Shai.
Right.
Because the Ancient of Days shows you that he doesn't have a beginning or end.
Right.
Yahweh Shai has a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Right.
He's the first begotten son of Yahweh.
I'm the Alpha and Omega.
Yep. He's a beginning and end.
I got a precept.
Kind.
Job 36 and 26. "Behold, the Most High is great, and we know him not. Neither can the number of his years be searched out."
Job 36 and 26?
Yeah, he's before days. Before. We're based on time, you know.
Right.
You know. Yahweh Shai had a beginning.
Yep.
The Most High doesn't have that
written
beginning.
I got a scripture just to back up what you just said. This is Revelation 22 and 13. "I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last." And that's talking about Yahweh Shai.
Come. All right, I got it. Salaki, I'm just getting that jotted down.
I can read.
Okay.
Verse 10, Daniel 7 and 10. "A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened."
And that Yahweh Shai opened up the understanding of the book. That's why I said, "Worthy is the Lamb" in Revelation the 5th chapter. Because if you read up in Revelation the 5th chapter, it was sealed.
Right,
The understanding of the prophecies was sealed.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
If I may, this is very similar because it talks about the thousands ministered and served unto him, and like you had brought up in Revelation 5. When you go to Zechariah, the 1st chapter, and when you go into that red horse that stood amongst the myrtle trees, you know, that's the lead angel with all the rest of the angels standing there, and they were taking counsel from the Lord. Because when you can continue in Zechariah, the 1st chapter, it goes into those 4 horns like we just read about. So pretty much power, like the Lord is giving them orders on what to do, and the angels are playing that out on the planet Earth controlling the minds of these different horns to do what they're doing.
Right.
And now we're going into the destruction of those horns right now, man. All ordained through the Heavenly Father.
Right, and like the brother Michael Allah just brought up, the books were open, which means the prophets got the understanding,
Right.
which means the Lord heard the prayer of the saints, and as it says, they will cry unto the Lord because of the oppressors, and He's going to send His Son. So that's basically what's happening right here in Daniel
Right.
chapter.
We being prophesied of.
Zechariah again in the 10th chapter.
That's crazy.
That's right. The other Ramlai made a beautiful point. He's like, in another dimension, we already in the kingdom. It's already happened.
Woo! Wow.
It's already written. Think about it.
It's already
Right,
destroyed. America's
exactly.
already destroyed in the
It's already
spirit.
written. It
Exactly.
just has to play itself out.
It's already written.
The movie.
And then that point that you just made,
It's crazy.
it's a fulfillment also too of John the 14th chapter, when it talks about how the Lord is going to send His Comforter down. That was the Lord unlocking those seals and putting that understanding back on the planet Earth.
Which is why He was just bringing up Revelation the 5th chapter. Because the Lamb had to open that
He had to
book
open
and
the
send
book.
us the Comforter.
Yeah, man, you gotta understand.
That's why I said, man, you got millions of people that don't have that understanding. That's why I'm saying everything that we saying sound new, but it's just refreshed.
It's a
Right.
new song.
Yeah, you know.
Starting to be pure. Yeah, pure minds by the way of remembrance.
Right. Right. Daniel 7 and 11. I beheld then, this goes back to Esau's ass, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even until the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. So the end is going to come through this.
That's right. Can somebody give me Revelation 19 and 20?
This is Revelation chapter. You got it?
Got it. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Revelation 19 and 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, and wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. Though these both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone.
It was destroyed, man. Thermonuclear destruction. You see? For the lies they perpetuated on the planet Earth, for the great swollen words. You see?
I got a quick one. This is Nahum 3 and 19. There is no healing of thy bruise, thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap their hands over thee, for upon whom have not thy wickedness passed continually.
Right.
You know, it just goes into the destruction of the Edomites, you know. Goes back to Genesis 3rd chapter as well. With that, you know, thou shalt bruise thy heel, but it shall bruise thy head. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much that'll be ultimately destroyed afterward.
Right. All right. So, could you read?
Oh yeah, this is Daniel chapter 7, verse 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season at a time.
That's right. So they just gonna be tributary. They're not
Right.
gonna be utterly destroyed like the Edomites.
Right.
You see, when Yahweh shall return, He's gonna rule with a rod of iron over the nations.
Gone.
You see?
Yep. And the rest of the rest of the beasts, we were just reading about all of these different other nations. This particular nation right here, as he said, as concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, because when the Messiah returned, they ain't gonna have no more dominion. Yet their lives were prolonged for a season of time, meaning they're gonna continue to live. But this nation right here, this fourth beast, which is the Edomites, eventually they're gonna be cut off forever and ever. As a nation, period.
That's right.
And there's a precept in 2nd Maccabees I want to get real quick that proves that 2nd Maccabees chapter 7. Ain't that when the
Seven brothers.
the seven brothers?
Second Maccabees, the 7th chapter.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
talking about the 7 brothers.
Because there was a point where the brother told told that Greek, whoever he was talking to, that you're not going to have no resurrection of life.
Yeah, that's towards the end of the chapter.
That's later in the chapter. Second Maccabees 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like one of the last brothers.
Right. I can't find it though.
I'm looking forward to.
Resurrection of life. But verses early in there. Oh, here it is.
14.
Second Maccabees 7:14. It says, so when he was ready to die, I started at 13. Now when this man was dead also, they tormented him and mangled the fourth in like manner. So when he was ready to die, he said, thus, it is good being put to death by men to look for hope from the Most High to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life.
That's a good one.
So eventually,
Yeah.
the Edomites ain't gonna ever live again. That nation is gonna be chased out of the planet Earth.
Totally
Ooh,
right.
that's gonna be.
And that curse ain't to no other nation. Ham gonna be here. Ammon gonna be here. All of the heathens are gonna be here in the kingdom of heaven as subjects. No dominion. However, they're gonna still live. They're gonna be there. But Esau is the only nation promised to be utterly cut off.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And another precept is in Isaiah 14.
God.
That's what I have here.
Get it real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Isaiah 14, and I'm sorry, verse 8. It says, "Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no feather is come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It had raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us?" Is that the one you wanted?
The kings of the earth. Keep reading down.
Okay, verse 11. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, and the worm is spread over thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, thou son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend unto heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation.
It's that same pride we just read about the horn had. All right. Go to 18.
18. Verse 18. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house.
Because we're going to put them back in their own nation, their own,
That's it.
a lot of the lands. Well, go ahead.
But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword, that go down to the stones of the pit as a carcass trodden underfoot.
Go to 20. That's the point.
Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial.
Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial. They're going to be buried, but they ain't gonna be cut off like Esau. They ain't gonna have no power, no more dominion, but they still gonna be there. Esau is not gonna be joined with them in that burial. Go ahead.
Con, it says, Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned.
And bam, and then it goes into prepare slaughter for his children. Because the descendants of Esau will eventually get cut off.
Right.
Man.
So
What's the nephews, sons?
all of them.
All of them.
Oh, you know.
Job 20:7. I'm just waiting for it to pull back up on my blue letter.
I got one. Revelation 20:5. But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. All right. The rest of the dead are the other nations. After the 1,000-year period, they'll be able to pretty much live again and have their, because during that 1,000-year period, they're going to be building and being put to work. But after that 1,000 years, we pretty much, you go over here, this is yours, this is you, this is what you do, and they're going to have to follow our ways. But it said the kings, like we just read in Isaiah 14, the kings are going to lie in glory, because there's going to be, I think it's going to be all nations are going to be there to see this man's, we're going to put them all in a pit, and however it happened. But I believe, like I say, they're going to be glorying too. So.
Yep. And then Judah's going to get Edom's land.
Yeah. Yeah. Indubitably, just like David did.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to Daniel.
Gone. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away,
yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven.
That's right. And that's talking about Yahweh Shai
That's
coming
right.
in those clouds.
That's right.
And we can get Revelations 1 and 6. Just to prove that. Revelation 1 and 6 and points and 7. I got it. Go ahead, my brother.
Revelation 1 and 6, and have made us kings and priests unto Yahweh and his Father.
Revelation 1 verse 6. I think you're in Revelation chapter.
That's what it's saying.
Yeah, that's what it said.
Really?
To him be glory and, and dominion forever and ever. Wow. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierce him.
The Roman Empire.
So that show you the reincarnations in the scriptures. Yep. The person who pierced him, they gonna see him when he returns. You see what I'm saying? And he's gonna destroy him. Go to Matthew 24. What's that? And
That's the spirit. I was just about to turn there. Verse 24 and 30.
yeah, 30.
Yeah, spirit.
24 and 30.
All right. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 30. It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
And those clouds we know to be chariots. You see, so Yahweh Shai is going to return on chariots. All them chariots we've been seeing lately. You see them light up the sky.
Right.
You see.
That shows that he's gonna be here soon, man.
Yeah, he's showing. We almost done.
This is it, bro.
We almost done.
There's no other heathen nation gonna rule after this.
Right. That's
the
right.
earth is taking too much of a beating.
Yeah.
Too much lies. This gotta be that little beast, that little horn.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be it.
Absolutely.
Got to be it. Let's go back to Daniel.
This is Daniel 7 and 13. I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given unto him dominion and glory and the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was...
So he gonna rule forever. Ain't gonna be in 2075
Right.
AD, the Medes were able to take over Judea. No,
Yeah, through.
Yahweh Shai is gonna rule forever, man.
That's right.
You see.
Yep, he's coming to take. That's why it says in Revelation 19 he had all those crowns on his head.
That's right.
So basically, the so-called Jew is saying that's what they're doing over there.
Bro,
We're comparable to them
Without the
scriptures.
Son of Man.
Yeah, without Yahweh Shai coming back, they're setting up the capital. Come on, man. Utter bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Building the temple.
They're
if
tripping.
that's the case, then if according to their logic, right, like what you just said, according to their logic, right, if that's the case, where was the little horn destroyed at?
Why is it still war going on?
Where's David?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Where's David? David Rockefeller.
Hey, they got that whole thing set up from falsehood, man.
Then falsehood.
Go ahead.
We could really stop at verse 17. Because verse 17 is really gonna just break down what we just read. You know what I'm saying? So no reason, no need to be redundant. You know.
Okay.
Repeating it.
You know what I'm saying?
Gun. Verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, these great beasts, which are four kings, which shall rise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
That's right.
You got all broke down to
Yeah, that's a beautiful one to stop at. Drop the mic on that bitch.
Because the fourth beast and that little horn is it
That's it.
for the heathen.
That's right.
That's right.
So this gotta be the end. Esau's the end of the world. Jacob's the beginning of it that follows.
That's
right.
That's right.
Beautiful.
That was a good lesson, man. I got
Good lesson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back through it and write all my notes down.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do.
I scribed it.
I came back right at the